All right, you ready? Come on. Sit up pretty. How about you? Neat. Okay, guys, we have piles everywhere. I've got a stack here, a stack there, a stack there, a stack there, and some on my laptop, which I will grab in different uh, moments. So we are doing the A to Z tag challenge, whatever. I saw Beautiful Minutae do this, and at first I was like, I was going to choose books that I wanted, A to Z, find those, right? And then I was like, but I know I have to have A to Z books that I haven't read. I've got to have. And I almost made it in not reds. So number one, I kind of fiddled the rules for myself. It's supposed to be you can start with the word that follows an article. So an, a, the, right? But I was like, no, it has to start with a word, not an article. There can't be an article before it. And then whatever the word is has to be A and B and C, right? So not, because I was trying to make it hard on myself, right? And then also, for me, I wanted ones that I haven't read yet. And I knew there was a chance that some of them I would have read. I mean, that's just, basic reason. But I wanted to try. And so that I did that. And then for those that I couldn't find unread or read, then I needed to find one that I would try to read. And those would be kind of like, I don't have to finish them, but I have to do the, 4-chapter try, right? And so is there 3 of them? I think there might be 3. Is there 3 or is there only 2? I don't know. We'll see. We'll get to that when we get to it. So that's what we're doing today. And one thing I didn't check closely was my 60 by 60, which I should have, but I didn't. So I don't even know if I pulled any off of that, which would have been smart. But, and I had this idea that I would do, like, this would become like my summer TBR. I would just read the alphabet. I thought that would be fun, right? Yeah, no, I'm going to keep the list. I know I will be able to do this maybe in fall. But the problem is that Chantal from Chantal Reads All Day just came out with a super fun summer passport to reading thing. And I was like, my dog is obsessed with the mop. Okay. I was like, I really want to do that. So last night when I should have been working, I took a little bit of a break and I created myself this little passport thing. I'm going to print it out tomorrow and sew it together and I'll show you guys because I think it'll be fun. Maybe I'll just do a short little reel or something, maybe a short. But I was just like, I want this little passport with this little, like passport, right? And then, short little whatever. It's just kind of a summer keepsake from what I did for this. I know I'm weird. I mean, I've got stamps. I mean, I used real postage stamp shapes instead of passport stamps because I wanted the book cover to fit in it, and postage stamps works better. But I mean, just all that fun stuff. Yeah, I did that because I have issues. I know, but whatever, right? So, I came up with all of the books. And I found some fun things along the way. You're going to crack up at me. But we're going to start off right away. We're just going to get going. And my dog's going to snort. Hi, Snort. Yeah? Snort? Okay. So I'm going to trying to think, should I read just the first line and not tell you what the book is about? Maybe I'll do that, and then you can go find out more about any book that interests you. So I'm not going to tell you about these books mostly. There's going to be a couple that I'm going to give a little information that I know about that I think is unusual, and whatever. Okay, so I'm thinking of one, but there could be something like that. But for the most part, I'm just going to give you the title of the author and read the first line, and we're going to move along so that this doesn't take all night, because I have a short story that I have to finish Friday, and this is Thursday night / Friday morning, so I don't have time. All right, now that I've wasted all that time, let's do this thing. I think I'm going to put my glasses on and try to keep them on because we're going to do this. Okay, After Acts by Brian Litfin. I always want to say Lifton. Brian Litfin. This is basically, he researched, see, I'm doing it. I'm telling you things, and I'm not supposed to tell you the things. First line. Oh, super cool. There's like a timeline in here. Anyway, so the first line of the introduction, we're just going to go, tracing the tradition is the introduction name, and it says, Peter was crucified upside down. You hear in a sermon, according to tradition. Paul went to Spain. The pastor says on another day, according to tradition. So, yeah, it sounds like we're going to find out what happened after Acts according to history instead of tradition. So, this is out by Moody Publishers, and this is A, after Acts. Whoa, boy, this is not going to work well. Anyway, B had a whole bunch I could have done for B, but I chose Becoming Us by Robin Jones Gunn. And this does have an interesting fact with it. This came out during COVID and got kind of like ignored. People didn't know it existed. And when I talked to her on the podcast, she was mentioning it, so I got them. And have I read it? No. Okay. I had no problem finding Llwellen's house that windy night in early December. That's all we know. Robin Jones Gunn. Becoming Us. Okay. C, I had a lot I could have chosen, but I chose Chaos Grid because when I started this, remember, I was thinking I was going to be reading them all summer, so yeah. So Chaos Grid, everybody's been raving about. Nice little Texas map of the new grids, whatever. Okay. The day Plex City burns to ash will be the best day of my life. Okay. That's good. That's good. All right. Dreamteller by Katie Shade. All I know is it's fantasy. And the first line is... The moon petal was once a ship of great beauty. Ooh. Ooh. You see, a lot of these I haven't read the first lines of. Okay. A, B, C, D, E. Embers in the London Sky. I have started this one. I have not finished it. And it says, as soon as she escaped to England, Alida Vanderzee Martins would cut her hair and have her son photographed for the first time. Woo, World War II. Sarah Sundin, Embers in the London Sky. F. Carrie Parks, Fallout. And that's all I know about it. I know she is kind of suspense / thriller stuff. Okay, prologue. All right, let's start with prologue. All right, this is our line. The November wind blew across the almost barren plain, attempting to leach any warmth from the man's black wool coat. Okay. I'll take it. And G, Girl Lost by Kate Angelo. I've been dying to read this. I even have goodies. Have I read it? No. Romantic suspense. Luna Rosati could disappear into any crowd, any city, any life. Okay, that's really good. But the next line is, except this one. Eee! Girl Lost. Come on, guys. Tell me to read this right away. Yeah, that is coming soon. I'm going to be asking for whatever. Okay. E, F, G, H. Hunt for Eden's Star. This is book 1 by D.J. Williams in the series. Is it the Eden Star series? I can't remember if it's got another series or not. Oh, well. Okay. Hunt for Eden's Star, D.J. Williams. And he stood beside a fresh mound of dirt, boots sinking deeper into the grass. Ooh. Okay, I have to read this little bit. His sister's death revealed an epic hidden war. Now he must join the fight. I mean, come on. Okay, there's my first stack. That's H. I. Next for I is Island of Stars by Carrie Brownell. This is middle grade. And it came with this, you know, cute little fun stuff that, you know, whatever. Is this Book Monkey or is this, yeah, this is Book Monkey Press. And she's the one who wrote Light at the End of the Woods, I think it's called. And yeah, I really loved that book. Snow was falling in Winchester one quiet Saturday morning in February when the Fullerton family's letterbox creaked open and the day's post was dropped inside along with a burst of ice-cold air. Okay. All right. This is, I have to do something. This has to be bumped up fast. So this is not going back into the other room. This is going over here because the Fullerton family, that's my family. And so I have to read this because I come from the Fullertons. So yes, because yes, oh, I did not know about that. That is so cool. So anyway, I had to share that. I'm going to put this like so. Well, no, I can't do this yet. I can't do this yet. I will pull that out later. Anyway, H-I-J, Jeweled Moth. There were lots of J's that showed up. I thought I didn't have one out here, so I pulled, the only one I could find in the back room was Joe's Boys. And I was like, okay, it's not really what I want, but Joe's Boys, okay. I mean, because again, I was trying for books I haven't read, remember? So there was that one. But before I went out there, I had like pulled random letters out when I saw them that, you know, didn't have articles in front of them. I pulled that out. So I was like, you know, obviously I pulled this out. I didn't even remember doing it. Pulled it out. And so it was out here when I came out with Joe's Boys. But I forgot that I had either one of those and pulled Julia Monroe Begins Again by Rebecca Millett off the shelf. And went, oh, there's a J. Great. I was so excited, right? Now I have 3 J's. I think the first one I pulled off was this one. And I think this one might have the best line. So I'm going to take a peek at the lines. I'm taking Joe's Boys out of the running because I have read that. And I know I've actually read this first line. But, okay. Whichever one has the best first line is the one I'm reading. Okay, we're going with this one. I'm going to put this one away. So we're going to go with Julia Monroe Begins Again, which is kind of funny. I'll tell you why in a minute. But this first line, so good, so good. In hindsight, scheduling my first routine mammogram on my 40th birthday may not have been a wise choice. I love that. Okay, but then I have to say, if it's your first, technically it's not a routine yet, right? Anyway, so Julie Monroe Begins Again. There's my J. I have somewhere her next book, Kate Landry, Insert Things. But I can't find it. I just know it's Kate Landry something something by Rebecca Millett. But you're so weird. I don't know where it is. So I had to go with the only other K book I could find in this entire place. I keep looking, going, come on, there's got to be another one. But I can't find one. Keeper of the Bees by Jean Stratton Porter. So for K, since I was wrong about Keeper of the Bees, I went and got Kitty Foyle by Christopher Morley. He's the one who wrote Parnassus on Wheels, Haunted Bookshelf, Thoroughfare, lots of good books. Anyway, so I don't know anything about this book. Nothing. Except that there's a lot of them available. So it must have been popular because I find it often. Anyway, it says, what a grand guy. Okay, that's not much of a line, but the next line seems to contradict it. Listen to this. Sometimes he used to sneak a slug of whiskey in the forenoon against doctor's orders. What a grand guy, yeah. This was put out by Lippincott, who was the publisher for Grace Livingston Hill. in case that matters to somebody. But anyway, so we have Katie foil up here. Okay, and then this is where things get interesting. Hang on. I know. We had another J go on. So while I was out here, before I went looking in the house, I ran across Light Out of Darkness by Donald Llwellen, and this is the kind of romantic suspense that deals with the Caravaggio and goes all the way back and gives us some history about the Waldensians and all the things, right? And so this was really, a great choice. But I forgot that I had it. So when I was looking in the back room, I found the only L that I thought I could find, Lorna Doone. And I thought it was really weird that I couldn't find any for quite a while. I was really struggling. And I was like, well, okay, Lorna Doone, I've read it, but, whatever, right? By the way, the adaptation is really good. And fun fact about Lorna Doone, so there's like a tie-in to my Argosy Junction. And at the very end of Argosy Junction, I wrote a very bad, I will say. It is not quality poetry by any stretch, but I wrote a very bad ballad of Lorna Doone in the back of that thing. It is epic. It is super long. It's got probably 40 verses. It's real, because I have to tell the whole story in 8-line verses. So, yeah. And basically, to do it, I took a ballad that my dad used to sing about California Joe. I took that tune and I created the entire story to the tune, writing down the lines and then fixing. It was really ridiculous. But anyway, so I have a love for Lorna Doone, obviously. Great book. Everybody should read it. But I have read it and I had already picked this one out. But then before I left the room, I found Love on a Dime by somebody. And I also found Blood in the Mist by Hope. I can't remember. It's got a weird font, and so I'm having Merleys. It's got a very hard to read scripty font. Hope Merleys. From what I understand, this is supposed to be considered by a lot of people to be the first fantasy novel. So I really do want to read it. Isn't it beautiful? I think it's truly lovely. But I haven't yet. And I've made it to here. I bought it from Sweet Sequels. I made it to that far. And I was kind of struggling, but we're talking page 12, right? This is chapter 2. So struggling doesn't mean anything when you're trying to get into a new world, right? But for whatever reason, I found this one and I grabbed it, forgetting that I had already chosen this one. Now, why am I telling you all that? Because I want people to know about Blood in the Mist. I might leave that one out here too. But I'm choosing Light Out of Darkness because it's what I found first, and I do really want to read it soon. Even has a nice little postcard in it. All right, first line. Jamie Holbrook gave little thought to what dangers lay ahead as she strolled Verona, Italy's ferry wharf. Not bad, not good, just kind of there. So there's L. I'm going to put it here, I think. All right, this is one of the first ones I pulled out. The minute I started doing this, I was like, oh, there's Mistaken by Karen Burnett. And guess what? I mean, it not only starts with with M, it's one word. This is historical mystery from the 20s, I think. Yeah, 1926. It says, Lori Burke clutched the steering wheel of her father's Model T as the car lurched down the deserted road toward the beach, the headlights barely denting the dark night. What was that? They're terrifying already. I don't know what that was. But anyway, so yeah, this is one I have been waiting to read. And have I read it yet? No, I have not. But anyway, that's going up there. M.N. The first one I found was Janelle Hupney's No Stone Unturned. This is historical romance. even has a map of Hawthorne Abbey, and the first line says, on Wednesday afternoon in the village of Branmore, one does not expect much excitement beyond sugared gingerbread and tea. I kind of like that. That was unexpectedly good because it's like there's nothing to it, right? It's pretty basic. But on the other hand, it's like it's promising something. One doesn't expect anything but this, but clearly we're going to get more, right? So yeah, I like that. Okay. O was another one that I kept thinking I wasn't finding, and by the time I had grabbed like 3 of them, I managed to put a couple back. So that was kind of cool. But Once a Queen by Sarah Arthur. This is, I believe, Susan Pevensy's imagined story. So, you know, definitely fantasy. And in all the old stories, in those fairy tales, I still half believed this was how it happened. Okay, I like that. I have been wanting to read this for so long, and I still haven't done it. I don't understand me sometimes. I don't make sense. Okay, O. P was another tough one. And basically I found 3. I found 2 by Jane Austen, and then I have that devotional Prevail that I just got. But I didn't really want to do the devotionals since I had just shared it. That seems silly. Everybody and their brother does Pride and Prejudice, so I chose Persuasion because I actually like it better than Pride and Prejudice anyway. But this is one that I have read. And I didn't even bring my pretty one out. I brought out the basic boring one because why not? Chapter 1. So we've got all of this. It's just introductory stuff anyway. All right. Sir Walter Elliot of Kellynch Hall in Somersetshire was a man who, for his own amusement, never took up any book but the baronetage. There he found occupation for an idle hour and consolation in a distressed one. There his faculties were roused into admiration and respect by contemplating the limited remnant of in the earliest patents. There, any unwelcome sensations arising from domestic affairs changed naturally into pity and contempt. I think that was all one sentence. Yeah. All right, Jeannie, whatever you say. I forgot about that sentence. It's long and okay, whatever. But it's the only P that I could find. I would never have imagined that P would be such a difficult one. I thought that Q would be tough. And I got to the point where I was convinced I was going to have to choose to use one with an article. It felt wrong to give myself a book because I was avoiding, I that felt like I was almost cheating. But I kept looking and I couldn't find any even with an article in front of it. I was really struggling. And then I found one after I found Quidditch Through the Ages. It says Kennel-Worthy Wisp is the author. Kennel-Worthy Wisp. Anyway, and so I decided to count this, and when I came up with the other one that I can't remember the name of anymore, oh, no. The other one that I found was the book that I was going to buy. It was Quarter Something Autumn by Barbara Pym. I thought I was going to buy that, but then I found this. I got my story backwards. Anyway, but I found one, Quidditch Through the Ages, so, you know, why not? And it says, Chapter 1, no spell yet devised enables wizards to fly unaided in human form. So, you know, it's not all that amazing, but still, why not, right? And R. And that's the last of this stack. And Ravenfall was the first I found. And even when I was looking for other stuff, I kept looking for R's. And I was really struggling to find R's, which I thought was kind of odd. I would have thought there would have been more R's. But I was struggling to find R's. This is middle grade. I think it's some form of fantasy, if I recall correctly. It's not telling me on the back here. But I'm pretty sure this had some fantasy to it. So anyway, everything looks different in the dark. I like that. Every fall, I swear I'm going to read this. And every fall, I don't. So guys, hold me to it this year. Ask me if I'm reading Ravenfall. Because I want to. It's like, I want to. But every time I'm ready to do it, it's like spring or early summer. And I'm like, no. So, there's through R. Got to go get my last stack. Okay, so that's QR. And then we come to S, which I kept finding, I was struggling with S, not as bad. I kept finding ones I'd read, and I kept not finding ones I hadn't read. And it didn't make sense. I'm like, come on, you know there have to be. Once I found one, then they like practically threw themselves at me off the shelves. It was so weird. But the first one I found was Sadie on the Rocks, a Suddenly Sadie adventure. How much more SE can you get than Sadie from a Suddenly Sadie? This is by Joanne Bischoff. It's book 1, and it's kind of women's fiction, if I recall correctly. I think it leans toward late, or like heading toward romance, but that's the series, not the book, if I recall correctly. Okay, the first sentence is 3 peppermint mocha lattes? Okay, I'm going to read beyond that. The fact that 2 other ladies from church and I ordered the exact same coffee is more awkward than endearing as we sit across from the one lone guy at our weekly singles game night. Oh, I have to keep going. This could be a low point. Oh my. This one's staying out. Yeah. See, I've never read the opening line of that one. You know, if you know, you know. Okay, so that's S. Now, T, I did something a little wonky. Kind of broke my rules and stuck to them at the same time. So remember, I was ignoring articles. If it had an article first, I was skipping it. I wasn't doing it. I was trying to just like stay away from those articles, right? Well, then I ran across the trials of the title, and I realized that not only does the start with T, obviously, but trials does too. And then there's of, which breaks the mold, right? But then there's another the and title. So there's a lot of T's. So I went ahead and decided to like reward it for being almost all T's in the title, you know, because I mean, come on, even of, if you take, this is so stupid, but work with me here. If you take the little line on the F and you put it on the other side of the top line on the F, then that becomes ought. So there's another T in there. I know, just ignore me. I'm delirious from this short story, guys. I'll tell you about it in a minute. But anyway, so this is The Royals of Andalar, Book 2 by Joy Crane. Again, I strongly recommend you find that episode on BecauseFictionPodcast.com and listen to Joy Crane's story as one of China's ghost children. It is phenomenal just to hear her personal story. Anyway, all right, so line 1. The king of Harmon was dead, and no one was going to miss him, least of all his daughter, Sarah. I read the whole first paragraph because the king of Harmon being dead is one thing, but the rest, I was like, whoa. So anyway, the trials of the title. I'm going to have to do this, as that's getting kind of heavy. I don't want to weigh down the shelves too much. I mean, let's not be cruel. So that's T, and then U. This, I did find one other U, if I recall correctly. Rembrandt in the Rind was the other R that I found later. I just saw it and it reminded me. But again, it was like, nope, I've already chosen. Oh, there were two more L's over there. There was love and baseball and oh, there was another L. I saw it just a little, I forgot about it. I saw it just a little while ago. So, I mean, again, more, right? So, anyway, you, Undaunted Valor. This is the only duology in all of this. It's the only sequel. It's the only any, connection to the same thing. But I had to do it because it was the only you I could find. And it might, did I find another one again later or not? I was thinking I did, but now I'm thinking maybe I didn't. Except I know what it was. I was looking for my copy of Under the Lilacs. That's what I was going to use. But I didn't find that copy. I found this instead. So that's it. Undaunted Valor. It's book 2 in the Waldensian series. And Romantic Suspense. It also has a map. It says... somewhat... oh, I forgot. This is one that someone has... I think someone bought this because I bought it used, and I think someone had been given this one to mark up for, checking for typos and stuff before it went to print, and because it's got all of the commas missing, the typos and all the things, they're all marked in red. So I think it's really kind of cool that I have this. But anyway, it says, a bushelful of butterflies fluttered in Luciana Mariani's stomach. Okay, I kind of like it. It's a little generic, but not too much. So that's good. Okay, UV. Voices from the Past. Now, I have read a lot of this, but it was the only V that I have, and I do believe that I didn't finish the last few. So at least there's some, because I believe it's, no, this goes all the way through December. So it's like a devotional a day. And I know I probably made it at least to September or October. But they're Puritan devotional readings. And this is volume 2. So we're just going to start with January 1st. Is it our duty to give thanks in everything? And it goes on to say, what about afflictions? So Voices from the Past. I really love again, devotionals aren't my thing, but I really do love this reads to me, instead of like a devotional, it reads to me like a nonfiction book on Christian living, which is what I like. What I don't like, I am such a font snob, typeface snob. I know it's technically not a font until you change the side, whatever. But Voices from the Past, Papyrus? Really? I had a graphic designer just train me to hate Papyrus, and I actually really do. I can't stand it. So, yeah. But anyway, this is my V, UV, and then we have W. And I did find a couple of W's, and I think 3 of the W's that I found were all by the same author. Liz Tolsma. There was When the Sky Burned, What I Left for You, and What I Promised You, I think. So, I mean, there's at least those 3. And, but, When the Sky Burned by Liz Tolsma, A Day to Remember. This is basically about a fire that took place in Wisconsin at the same time that the Chicago fire happened. They happened on the same day. This was just as devastating, but, to like countryside and all the things. But because Chicago is so big and so huge and everything, people never remember it. So, yeah. On the easel in front of Mariah Randolph sat a blank canvas, as white and pristine as a snowy morning. I want to keep reading, but I'm not going to. So anyway, When the Sky Burned, W. Okay, now I have to go get my laptop because I could not find an X. So I'll be right back. X is Xylophones Above Zarundi, a Jocelyn Osgood jaunt. The Cairo Gym Chronicles, Book 18. So, it looks like they kind of do that sort of alphabet-y kind of thing, which doesn't make sense because it's certainly obviously not in order. But I think I saw other ones that felt kind of like that. This is, I think, middle grade, and it sounds fun. So I'm going to read it because I have to, I have to choose one, right? And these that I have to choose, I am making go on my TBR. I am making that happen. If I buy these books, I have to read them right away. I thought, let's give me some oomph, right? The good news is I only have two. The first line of Xylophones Above Zarundi is, facial hair made me too embarrassed to even leave the house. I thought that was really funny. It just made me smile. So that was X. And then, then we had Y. And until literally I was about to start here and I went looking for, was another letter. I can't remember what letter it was that I already had some of. So I think it was L. I'm looking for L again. Like I don't have enough L's. And I had only found one that remotely worked as Y, which is where the, if I buy this, I have to read it right away, came, because I'm like, what am I going to do? So the first thing that happened was I did find this one. This is The Young Clementina. Now, the thing is there's the. So that just makes it Young Clementina, which is fine, except that's not the title of it. And I was avoiding, remember, all the things. And so I was going to keep looking for a book to buy. And then I went, well, maybe I can adjust it just a little, that if I have to use an, taking away an article, then I have to read the book right away. So I remembered this one, and I grabbed this one because it did have a the. I had The Yearling, and there was something about the years gone by or something like that. The yesteryears, maybe. I don't know. There were a couple that I found, but this one I hadn't read. And so I went ahead and grabbed it because I was like, this is already one that I haven't read. And if I'm going to buy one, I need to read those that I buy. So then, I was going back and forth. And then I went back in and looking for the L that I didn't need. And I saw Yours, Jack, which is one that I have read. So I don't know if this counts or not, because I've been trying not to do ones that I have read, right? Well, I did have Persuasion, which I have read. And I did have Voices in the Past, which I've mostly read. But the rest of these, I have not read. So this is Yours, Jack. These are the letters of C.S. Lewis, and it kind of shows his spiritual journey as you read through it. So 1916, it says, I have had a great literary experience this week. And that, I have had a great literary experience this week. That is the week, it was 1916, and he discovered the book Fantasties or Fantasies, depending on what side of the pond you're on, by George MacDonald. So I think that's kind of cool. So anyway, technically I have a Y. But, again, Quartet in Autumn. Not Quarter. It was a Quartet in Autumn by Barbara Pym that I was going to do. But then I found Quidditch Through the Ages, which I have read snippets from, but mostly because my kids would bring it to me and go, oh, read this. I have not read it cover to cover. But I'm pretty sure I've probably read it all, just not deliberately. Does that make sense? So does that count, or do I buy Barbara Pym? I need to know about that one too. Quidditch, Barbara. Well, what do I do? Quartet in Autumn. I've heard good things about Barbara Pym. I understand that she's slightly depressing, but a little bit like Rosamund Pilcher. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they said. But before I found the Ys, I did find a couple of other Ys. And so if I need to buy a Y, there are two, I think. Yes, there are two. One I'm definitely going to read regardless. So I feel like that doesn't count. I've already added it to my audio playlist. So I feel like it doesn't count because I'm doing it and it has nothing to do with this. It has everything to do with the synopsis. So there are two, and I'm going to read the synopses of these two, even though one I have already decided to do. But, I mean, anyway. This is Yours Ever, People and Their Letters by Thomas Mallon. It says, from the author of A Book of One's Own and Stolen Words comes a delightful and wide-ranging investigation of the art of letter writing. Yours Ever explores the offhand masterpieces dispatched through the ages by messenger, postal service, and BlackBerry. Thomas Mallon weaves a remarkable assortment of epistolary riches into his own insightful and eloquent commentary on the circumstances and characters of the world's most intriguing letter writers. Here are Madame de Sévigné's devastatingly sharp retorts from the court of Louis XIV, F. Scott Fitzgerald's tormented advice to his young daughter, the besotted midlife billet doux of a suddenly rejuvenated Woodrow Wilson, the casually brilliant spiritual musings of Flannery O'Connor, the lustful boastings of Lord Byron. I'm not sure I want to read that, but a lot of this other I do. The cries from prison of Sacco and Vanzetti, along with confessions and complaints and revelations sent from battlefields, frontier cabins, and luxury liners. A reader will find Mallon considering travel bulletins, suicide notes, fan letters, and hate mail, forms as varied as the human experience behind them. Yours Ever is an exuberant reintroduction to a vast and entertaining literature, a book that will help you to revive in the digital age this glorious lost art. So, I mean, it sounds fascinating. I have to say, Byron doesn't grab me. And it also reminds me that one book I didn't pull off the shelf that I have read, it's why I didn't pull it off the shelf, and then I promptly forgot about it when I found Yours, Jack, which I have read. So I'm completely inconsistent here, guys. I'm just saying. But was Yours Cheerfully by A.J. Pierce, which is the second in the Dear Mrs. Bird, trilogy thing. So I could have gone with that one, but I was like, yeah, I read it. So I moved along. That was day one. I just thought of it. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that because that's not what I'm doing. But then it became harder than I thought. So Yours Ever, People and Their Letters. But then look at this one. This one, oh boy. You've Got Murder by Donna Andrews. If you know anything about Turing Hopper #1, You've Got Murder, I want to know. But this says, artificial intelligence personality Turing Hopper is in a panic. Her creator, Zach, has missed work for several days. After exhausting her resources, Turing is still far from giving up. For unlike other AIPs, Turing, or is it Turing? It's Turing, not Turing. Turing is sentient, and she senses foul play. Her skills of deduction may be virtually flawless. But it'll take more than that for a digital detective to catch a flesh and blood criminal. I mean, it's in my thing. So, I'm listening to this regardless. There's that. I could get Yours Ever, People and Their Letters, or I can read The Young Clementina that has a "the" in front of it. I'm not going to read Yours, Jack again. So there's that. So which of those do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Is there anything that I can do for you? Anyway, so there's those. That's why. And then finally, for Z, I had nothing. I had nothing. So I found, I think it was I found two options for Z as well. So the first option is Ray Bradbury, author, the Fahrenheit 451 dude. He wrote Zen in the Art of Writing, Releasing the Creative Genius Within You. Okay. The word Zen isn't really one of my favorite words. I'm just going to be brutally honest there. But that doesn't mean that he means it the way the religion says it. People use it just to mean relaxed. So who knows, right? I have no clue where this is coming from, but it is Ray Bradbury, and he does have a lot of good writing advice. So for that, this is what it says. Every morning I jump out of bed and step on a landmine. The landmine is me. After the explosion, I spend the rest of the day putting the pieces back together. Now it's your turn. Jump. That's a quote. Zest, gusto, curiosity. These are the qualities every writer must have, as well as a spirit of adventure. In this exuberant book, the incomparable Ray Bradbury shares the wisdom, experience, and excitement of a lifetime of writing. Here are practical tips on the art of writing from the master of the craft. Everything from finding original ideas to developing your own voice and style, as well as the inside story of Bradbury's own remarkable career as a prolific author of novels, stories, poems, films, and plays. Zen in the Art of Writing is more than just a how-to manual for the would-be writer. It is a celebration of the act of writing itself that will delight, impassion, and inspire the writer in you. Bradbury encourages us to follow the unique path of our instincts and enthusiasms to the place where our inner genius dwells, and shows that success as a writer depends on how well you know one subject, your own life. That seemed kind of cool. It's a little different. Not really, what I expected. I was looking for novels, I'll be honest. But it just felt really cool. So I found that. And then I also found one other Z. It is Zero Night by Mark Felton. So on August 30th, 1942, Zero Night, 40 Allied officers staged the most audacious mass escape of World War II. Months of meticulous planning and secret training hung in the balance during 3 minutes of mayhem as the officers boldly stormed the huge double fences of Offlog Prison, employing wooden ladders and bridges previously disguised as bookshelves. The highly coordinated effort succeeded and set 36 men free into the German countryside. 36 ended up in the German countryside, which I don't know what happened to those other 4. Did they not make it out? Did they die? What happened? I want to know. Anyway, later known as the Wartburg Wire Job, fellow prisoner and fighter ace Douglas Brader once described the attempt as the most brilliant escape conception of this war. And then the rest is talking about the author and who he is and what he's doing. So that sounds like so, do I want Zero Night or do I want Zen in the Art of Writing? Which one? I mean, I don't know. I have to decide though, because all the books. So anyway, that's my A to Z. And now I need to be done so that I can go edit this and get it up because I have to write. So guys, here's the deal. I've been working on Love's Aloft, and it's from Crosswords. They call their upstairs little meeting room / library the Book Loft. And it's where book clubs and stuff meet up there. And then next door to all of that upstairs is the Airbnb. Which, fun story, the owner of the bookstore in Greenville, Tennessee, Sonia, sent me a link to an article in Elizabethton, which is just a bit over from Greenville. A couple has bought a 2-story building, and they are doing a bookstore on the downstairs and an Airbnb above it, right next to where I put one in my book. And I'm like, I feel like we started a trend in the area. I mean, it's silly, we didn't, but it feels like it. So anyway, that was kind of cool. But so I have this, and it's basically the premise is we're doing a collection that I didn't realize was basically a short story collection, not a novella collection. So I was gaming for 35 to 45,000 words. And then I see that the gal who's in charge of this is looking for 8 to 12,000. 15 or 20 is okay, but she's looking for 8 to 12, and I'm like, how did I miss that? And I realized that we had talked about it separate from the information she put out in the group, and so that's why I missed it. But anyway, I'm at 15,000 words, and we're on the second meeting, and it's not going to happen. So the premise of this collection is these book clubs that kind of get the reputation as matchmakers of friends, or romance, or whatever. It could be either, and all the things, right? So I was doing this. I have a great plan. I'm not putting it aside at all, except for a couple of days, because I got to the point yesterday and I was like, no, I can't do this. I will not I won't get it done in time, because I need a bare minimum of 2 times what I already have. 30,000 words, I don't see how I can write it in 30,000 words, but I know I can't write it in 15 when I'm literally at the second book club meeting, and I don't want to rush it. I'm having too much fun with it. I'm having a blast. You get to see some of the characters from the first one, obviously, and one of the main characters is one of the most obnoxious characters in the first one, which is really fun. And then you're going to get the end of Judah and Panda Marie's story in this one. So I then have to write an intermediary book about Judah and Panda Marie. I promised the real Panda Marie, Candace, that I would. So I had to set all that aside. So Love's Aloft is still going to be happening. I'm still going to be working on that as soon as I get done with this short story. But basically I have to write about 15,000 word short story in 2 days. And I'm about 4,000 words in, and it's Friday now. So I need to write the other 11,000 words today. Yay! Okay, Melissa has been really gracious, and she has said, don't stress, just get it done when you get it done. But I said I would have it done, and then my story just, didn't work with what we were doing. Oh, well, too bad, so sad. But so I came up with, I don't know how many of you know, but back in, I think it was 2022, I think, I did a book club capers blog story. Right now it's at about 40,000 words, and we're in July. So it's going to be a full-length mystery novel full of riddles with this book club, and basically everybody has to show up to the book club, and they have to get the book choice right. And it's based, all the prompts are based, all the riddles are based upon the prompts that Chantal from Chantal Reads All Day gave that year. So I was writing this to go along, and I was doing great, and then we had another thing hit, and I had to stop. So I'm going to finish that this year, and then this comes behind that. So for those who haven't read the book club papers, it won't matter. But if you have, you'll kind of, have like this background, and you'll know more about the area, and it won't feel like this is like super short on the one hand, because you'll have all the, like, the world building of this thing, right? And I'll just add this to, as kind of like a bonus short story that goes with the book club papers when it releases, or after it releases, or something. I'm not sure how I'm going to work that, but eventually it'll go into something, because I have a feeling that Llwellen's books is going to get more. Milton is in the book club capers. He won't be in this short story, and this whole collection doesn't come out till 2027, so it's like no big deal, right? But anyway, that's what I'm doing. That's why I've got to get back to work, and that's why I need to shut up and get off of here. Okay, so we have X, we need Y. So it's either you've got murder, which I'm going to read anyway, so that can be it, or you can tell me to read The Young Clementina. You can tell me to read Yours Ever, the one about the letters. So there's the Y's. I can either do Young Clementina, Yours Ever, or you've got murder. And then I need to know about Z. Do I do the Zen one, or do I do Zero Night about the allies? Please answer so that I know what I'm doing. I'm begging you. And yeah, I will see you Monday, and I'm looking forward to it. I've got some good books that I finished. Not as many as I would like to have, but that would be because of all this writing. So you have a great week, and I will see you on Monday.